Hello to the awakened race in such a time and hour as this. What we're about to say to you here will be very challenging. It will be like nothing many have heard before. It will be the tearing of the veil to reveal concealed information and history and a story which has been cleverly manipulated throughout the ages by nation states and kingdoms and empires which have positioned themselves as gods over the children of men and over other nations and over other people. My fellow beloved people who seek truth, who seek knowledge in such a time as this message will challenge every narrative many of you may have heard from a different perspective. A lot of you will have a lot to sit and digest upon, to reason upon, to reflect upon, and to rationalize. We live in a day and time when evil holds sway, rules, spreads its dark wings over humanity, where truth like a flicker of light is dimmed and covered, and where those who speak truth are vilified, are condemned, are regarded as anti-society, because society must be crafted by them according to their whims and caprices and the dictates of men and women who have the order and the agenda of darkness. For in this day and time and hour, truth must stand, truth must rise to victory. The trumpet of truth must be sounded, so that all who are asleep may awake and hear the sound of the trump. Fellow citizens of the world and people who long for truth and who, when they find truth, will not sell it or betray it, will do everything to possess that truth, to treasure that truth, will forsake the regime of lies, the era of lies and deception, and will cling to that truth of righteousness, truth of awakening, the truth that ultimately will ride on to victory, come what may, at the end of it all, when all shall be said and done. And the purpose of this broadcast is to stir the consciousness of a people, to refresh the minds of our people and of this generation. Because the ploy of the wicked cabals, elites, empires, and kingdoms, and nation states was to play with time and get a generation that knows not what has happened to rise, and which they will overcome, and who will not have knowledge of the wickedness that is embedded in the heart and souls of those who they will come in contact with, which will cause them to be a prey for final decimation and destruction. We are talking about a nation called Nigeria and her British imperial lords and masters called Great Britain and the company of other nations who are aligned with her. The atrocities that we shall be touching here are very deep, far outweighing, far exceeding the Jewish Holocaust, the atrocities that is on the front page of the global history as it is today. But the atrocities committed against the children of Biafra has been obliterated, removed from the history books, and completely thrown into the trash bin of history, as if the people who suffered such injustice are not deserving of a place, less than humans, not worthy to be compensated, and their story is not worthy to be found in the history books on account of the superiority that those who inflicted such injuries and miseries upon them have upon global affairs. But we want to make this crystal clear. We want to make this abundantly clear that even if there remaineth a tiny number of people, be it 5, be it 10, be it 20, be it 100, be it a remnant, that remnant will carry forth a divine counsel, a divine purpose, a determinate course to its conclusion. It does not matter how long it takes. It does not matter whose horse is God. It does not matter which empire will pay for their sins and atrocities. It does not matter which empire will be judged or not. It does not matter what the price will be against the oppressors. Let us be very clear once again. To all you citizens of the world, to all you, the children of this age, this generation, for there is a 40-year cycle in every generation. And the powers that be knows what they are doing. But you have to understand that the Jewish people refuse to let their history to be submerged. And therefore the people of Biafra must also, in like manner, refuse their history to be erased and effaced or submerged by any powers whatsoever. We, the people of Biafra, have the right to write our story, to write our history. Our history shall not be written for us. The imperialists, the powers that be, have no powers to write our history for us. It used to be that they have apportioned to themselves the powers to write history. And they decide who is where, what they discover here. There were mountains and hills and rivers, and they had ancient names. They had been there before from the foundation of the world. When they come into a place, they tell us they are the one that discovered this, as if they are the ones that created it. As if there were not a people who had lived in those places and terrains to whom that river is their ancestral stream, and that mountain belongs to them. and the city and hill belongs to them. But they make it as if they are the explorers and discoverers of men and of places and of rivers and of hills. And they begin to be the ones to tell us the stories of who we are or who our ancestors are, whether they were the original owners of the earth, dwellers of the earth. Now, the people that are not a people shall always come, as it is written in the sacred scrolls, to claim that they are what they are not, because the people who are the children of the covenant themselves have lost their bearing, lost their route, lost their path, and have slumbered on account of walking contrary to that covenant, to that ordinance, to that statute, to that commandment, which was to keep them firmly in control and keep them in perfect alignment with the orders of the universe, the orders of the earth, and everything therein. Now, we need to be very clear once again that Biafra is a mystical, cyclical reality, that it is a clear mystery of the law of cause and effect. That for the wicked and clandestine anti-Igbo agenda of Nigeria awakened that effect which must produce and reveal a hidden cause. That which is a forgotten covenant binding a people to their first cause of existence. For there was the necessity for the Nigerian state to act as to activate the cause which must be actualized. So in clear analytical terms, without the mystical act of play and counterplay, no single determinate counsel shall come into any manifestation or realization. Let us learn from history that Egypt was once a heaven and a hell. Egypt was a place of preservation for the chosen people in the years of the sojourn. Yet Egypt became a place of hell and destruction when the times of the sojourn were ended. Let this word sink into your spirit and use your tongue to count your teeth. In the mystical acts, Egypt must still be judged and destroyed, and her crown royal brought down and drowned in the midst of the Red Sea, because she exhibited evil and wicked counsel and withstood so as to defy or deny or controvert or countermand the determinate counsel of the Most High. Therefore, the empire, nation, kingdom, or caliphate, whatsoever, that dares to withstand the determinate counsel does so at its own peril. It matters not which empire it is, whether the British, the French, or any of the Western empires, or any economic, political, nuclear, or religious powers whatsoever. Now listen. An empire in concert with other company of nations aligned with it, committed a heinous crime of genocide against an ancient people. They obliterated all the records which ran contrary to the fake moral principles of their own existence. The imperial powers that be today, they present a face which they are not. They present the face of liberators when they are indeed the greatest oppressors and subjugators, robbers, and war-loving states who rule via proxies from one nation to nation and wage proxy wars from one end of heaven to the other. They are the real terrorists of the earth, by whom the earth has not known any peace, though they pay lip service to peace, and speaking of only that order which is compliant to their wishes and prosperity and the enhancement of the wealth and stability and security of their empires. This is what it is and what it has been in this very age, where the empires have a firm hold upon all the levers of power on the global stage. You can use your tongue and count your teeth once again. This empire called Britain, in concert with Nigeria, which is their proxy state in Africa, was the wicked force and power that perpetrated the Biafran Holocaust, of which the numbers are even higher than the Jewish Holocaust. The figures and the pictures of the Biafran Holocaust are beyond what this world ever saw in the Jewish Holocaust. Over 5 million men and women and children were massacred, killed, suffered to die by all means and in all manners that death could ever be visited upon a people, perished from the people and among the people of Biafra during the 3.5 years, 30 months war that was to completely destroy a people out of hatred. It was a very dark blot in the history of the world, of which Britain has done everything in its power alongside with Nigeria to erase and efface from history. For this particular reason, the Nigerian state forbids the study of history in all her schools, as all her educational curriculum are supervised and are as directed by the British powers. Thereabout, Nigeria started to bleed after the Biafran Holocaust, after the horrific genocide of countless millions of men, women, and children. Men, women, and children visited with salvation as weapon of war. The blockade of their air, land, and sea, all in a bid to exterminate, annihilate, and completely reduce to the barest minimum a chosen people who fought with their bare hands against a mighty world power and her companies. Yet heaven held its breath and suffered that hour to be, but not in any way to allow the enemy to overrun the people and the land as they had purposed and planned. On account of this, a judgment was passed against the conspiring tribes, and for this, the country called Nigeria has never known any measure of peace, stability, or progress. It is become a nation that takes one step forward and two steps backwards. For there was no true brotherhood in Nigeria, and neither shall it ever be. All the people, all the tribes are used in the hand of the political jobbers and powers in whichever direction they want. They are brought to miserable lot wherein every man is made to survive for himself, which is the game plan of these wicked cabals. If Nigeria truly meant the no victor, no vanquished declaration in order to end the hostilities and atrocities, will there have been the promulgation of the abandoned property decrees and the economic emasculation, exclusion, marginalization, victimization, dehumanization, and stigmatization of a people called the people of Biafra, Ndibo, the people of the southeast till date? Will there have been the seizure of the financial wealth of the people of Biafra, sentencing every man of them to a miserly and meager 20 Nigerian pounds for their survival and rebuilding? To imagine, to care whether they were able to make it or not was not the concern or the interest of the then Nigerian state being guided by Britain. For many who do not know what was abandoned property, it is the first in the history of the world and continues to be so till the end of time. Never in the history of the world does a people who flee their land of sojourn, who have acquired their properties, landed property, who have made millions or billions and in the banks, and because war of destruction was visited upon them, targeted at their race, and they fled for safety. And then after the war was ended and the oppressing state declared no victor, no vanquished, which was a deceptive flag to turn away the eyes of the nations of the world and all people of conscience from looking into now what was the aftermath of the war. And this declaration of promulgation of abandoned property caused every single Igbo man, every single Biafran, to lose whatever properties they had acquired and built outside of their homeland, because they fled from the cities of their sojourns to safety within their homelands. In order to save their lives, they abandoned their properties and ran to the place of safety, only to return after the conflict that was declared no victor, no vanquished, and the Nigerian state and the Nigerian nationalities were all more than happy to pounce on their properties And the government, with no shame, no conscience, promulgated a decree so that to empowering the states and the peoples who never owned this property to seize upon those properties and never return them to the original owners till date. Now, where the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? Nigeria built a foundation of iniquity, of wickedness, of injustice that can never be acceptable to these heavens, that can never free Nigeria from the doom, from the judgment that is being decreed against her. Nigeria has no conscience, has no righteousness to make any plea on account of his wickedness. And then thereabout, they also nationalized everything and seized the wealth, financial wealth of the people of Biafra, the Gunine, caused all the banks to seize the finances, the wealth, the investments of the people of Biafra, and only to give them a meager 20 pounds. Whoever had £1 million forfeited it and received only 20 pounds. Whoever had 10 million could not access it. He only got 20 pounds. Whoever had 100 million, they had nothing to collect except 20 pounds. And that was how a people were subjected to, were sentenced to poverty, because the intent of the Nigerian state, being guided by Britain, was to make sure that the people of Biafra never ever rise again, politically, economically, socially, and in every strata of national life. That they will be the people that will be found at the lowest rung of the Nigerian society. That poverty will be their portion. They will become poor. Before they will even amount to anything, they will find themselves at the lowest rung of the ladder. That was a plan. But God was higher and bigger than them. A people that are blessed forever. A people whose destiny has been written upon the stars. There is no power anywhere, no mortal power or state, no empire whatsoever, no conspiracy of nations or states can change their fate or their destiny. And today, the people of Ndebo are the richest tribes not only in Nigeria, but in the whole of Africa and the whole of the Black World, and among the tribes of the earth. They rank among the richest. Not because they are the smartest, but because it is a blessing conferred on them. It is their inherent blessing that no power on earth can change, can avert, can, by legislative wickedness, take away from them. Now, does the world know this history and story? How a people came back from 20 pounds to survive, to build business empires, to rebuild their lives, their cities, their towns, their communities, to rebuild their future, to train their children, to go to school, to have businesses out of nothing but 20 Nigerian pounds. If that were done to the Yorubas, would they have survived it for the next 100 years? If that were done to the Fulanis, or to the Hausas, or to the thieves, or to the Junkuns, would they have survived it for another 100, 200 years? Of course not. Does the British Empire suppress these truths and the facts of their involvement in this great robbery expedition and experiment called Nigeria? Yes, they do. Again, does the British have any moral right to condemn the Jewish Holocaust when they were the culprits of the Biafran Holocaust? Absolutely not. Why would they want us to forget the Biafran Holocaust when they daily irritate and provoke the scars till date? Do they understand the mystical powers of the umbilical cord? Do they understand the coded messages of the traumas embedded into the bloodlines of each Biafran? It is as if to ask the Jews and the Israelis of today to forget the Jewish Holocaust or embrace with forgetfulness the memories and exploits of Adolf Hitler. That cannot be done. That is not possible. Does not the Jewish state hunt down those wicked actors to the ends of the earth? Will the case and the cause of the people of Biafra become different on account of what? I repeat. Will the case and the cause of the people of Biafra become different on account of what? They come to us and they say, forget about it, let's move on, move on. Does heaven and earth forget about anything and just moves on? What a man sows that he shall reap. Nigeria has sown the wind, she shall reap the wild wind. The same judgments shall come upon all the nations and tribes whose hands were soiled with the blood of Biafrans. What and who shall save Nigeria? Then why are the elders of the land of the ancients, the land of Ndibo, the ancients, the elders, and the leaders of Ndibo so afraid to speak up for the truth? Why are they afraid to speak the truth to power? Why do they sell their noble birthright for a miserable pot of Nigerian porridge? Why are they stuck in the mentality of ordained Homokama, the walking dead? We know that an empire on its decline is at its most vicious and deadly, for she struggles against the order of her demise. So goes on the killing spree in the Biafra region to see if they can quell the Biafran risorgimento, but they shall fail miserably in the end. Though they empty their armory and their treasury, it is not possible to put out the light of Biafra. It is not possible to stop the sun from rising. It is not possible to prevent the restoration of Biafra, because Biafra is a divine will. It awaits only the secret time appointed. All the treasury and armory of Nigeria can never purchase it or quell it. Does not the day of judgment and reckoning await all men and nations without fear or favor by these heavens? Let it be clear, there is no order that can ever be made by disorder, injustice, and disproportions. What do we mean? Nigeria seeks order and peace, but she is a land and a society of disorder, a society of injustice, a society of marginalization, a society of wickedness, a society where the wicked rule, where the rotten ones are in power, where the slaves ride upon the horses and the masters are walking barefoot. Those who are not qualified and not supposed to walk or hold the levers of power are entrusted with levers of power to run a very delicate, intricate, sophisticated arrangement of tribes and nationalities. The population of the country is skewed, is corrupted, the data is flawed. You cannot have more people dwell in arid regions more than those who dwell in the rich tropical rainforest. They give you statistics and figures, and that is why when the once chairman of the National Population Commission raised this alarm, the people who were beneficiary of the injustice quickly protested that he should be removed. In Nigeria, truth does not rule. Truth does not reign. Truth is anathema. Truth is despised. Error and lies and falsehood are what rules. Therefore, built upon the foundation of lies, nepotism, hatred, strife, disproportions, and the divide and rule antics and schemes of the subterfuge rulers and their stooges within the house of the feudal laws of the deserts can never and has never had any order of peace or enduring legacy of prosperity. It is always from one threatening crisis to another till the day she is to be finally consumed. This is her fate. She is not to last forever. The amalgamation treaty binding the tribes and nationalities has long expired since 2014. There is so much to say about the story of the Biafran genocide, but we shall stop here at this point, and we shall continue in the next broadcast and recording.